The I'm Thankful Network, radio for inspiration, education, and collaboration. Show host and creator Sue Lundquist has the endless energy, compassion, and charisma to carry her mission. This mission of positive change and communication, while also creating a maintenance tool within a safe environment. Sue Lundquist and the other positive changing hosts for living a life of contribution. Weekly Monday through Friday, 9 to 10, or streaming live at imthankful.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to eShell Wisdom Radio. I'm your host, Shauna Holm. We're on the I'm Thankful Network, and we have a great show for you today. We have Dr. Gerstmar, who is just one of my heroes, an amazing man. He's a naturopath in downtown Redmond. He's on the show once a month because he's a walking encyclopedia of information.
It's good to have next to you.
Oh, yeah.
A walking encyclopedia.
I think so, especially when it comes to your health. He is amazing. In fact, he spoke at my house last night. We had a Weston A. Price meeting that I hold once a month in Redmond, and he gave a talk on cancer and alternative methods of healing, and it was very, very highly informative, and he always draws a big crowd because he's such an eloquent speaker. And I just have to say one thing, that he's also my doctor, and I decided, okay, I'm 47, and let's just get everything, let's take a bunch of blood tests and see where I'm at, and then if there's anything that needs correcting, let's correct it. So rather than going to regular MD, and maybe if there was call in their opinion for medication, which to me is just kind of putting a Band-Aid on something and suppressing a symptom. No. I want to correct anything that needs correcting. And this is why I just love Dr. Gerstmar. So when you meet with him, it's an hour and a half, your first appointment, and he's extremely thorough and very capable. And yeah, we did 6 different blood tests. We tested everything, my hormones, my thyroid, everything. And I was feeling like my thyroid was slowing down. I'm very, very in tune with my body. And I exercise every day. And this was my intuitive hit. And sure enough, that was the case. Not hypothyroid, but slowing down. And so this is the thing. It's this is what preventive medicine, in my opinion, is all about. You catch this stuff early enough where then you can have, use an approach with herbs and nutrition and lifestyle, and you really can correct a lot of these illnesses and or that could potentially be illnesses. So this is the kind of, I think this is the doctor of the future. This is what it's all about if you want to be really truly healthy, rather than waiting till it's just too late. So with that, we've got Dr. Gerstmar, and also a friend of mine and one of his patients, my friend Nicole, who has a lot of great information to share with you. So we'll talk about chronic illness. So welcome, Dr. Gerstmar.
Thank you for having me, Shauna.
Yeah.
Thank you for such a glowing introduction. And I have to say, you take your health seriously and you do the things that you need to do. And that's hard for a lot of people to do. A lot of people don't have the information, the understanding that it's important to do that. And so they go to the doctor and they think they'll just take care of my problems, like taking your car into the mechanic. It's just I don't change the oil, I don't do anything, but I just take it to the mechanic and they fix it. And that works sort of okay for cars, but not so good for human bodies, because we can't. There are a few things we can replace, like hips and heart valves, but they never work as well as the original that the body came with, and most of the stuff we can't replace anyways. So we're going to have a little bit more of a free-form show today than we kind of have in the past, where I've sort of lectured on topics and taken a few questions, and we have Nicole in today, and she's been dealing with this issue of having these complex chronic diseases, which is so much of what I see anymore. I would love to see more people who want to be healthy and are doing well and want just a little tune-up, but most of the people I end up seeing I'm the 15th doctor in a row that they've seen, and they haven't gotten any help or the help that they've wanted elsewhere, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And so, there is a great difference between simple disease and complex disease. And, in our show a couple of months back, we talked about the difference between alternative and conventional alternative and conventional medicine, right? And we said conventional medicine is really great for things like traumas, life-threatening diseases, and relatively simple things. Like if it's an infection. You apply an antibiotic, you get rid of the infection. And it kind of comes from our modern scientific method of wanting to isolate things. So we really want to get down to X causes Y. This one thing does this one thing. And that works really great for a few things, and it makes doing science a whole lot simpler. But I find anymore that a lot of these complex chronic illnesses that we're dealing with just simply don't respond. Everyone's looking for the magic bullet. You know, a little while back, there was this whole big stir in the chronic fatigue community because they isolated this new virus whose name is totally escaping me right now. I think it's like
XMRV.
XMRV. Right. Thanks, Nicole. And it was like, oh, we finally found the answer for chronic. Now all we need is a drug to treat this infection, and chronic fatigue will be a thing of the past. And I see a lot of this, you see it everywhere. It's like, well, just take chlorella, just do enemas, just do foot baths, just take, this magical Amazonian herb, and all these problems will go away. And it's this simple kind of reductionist thinking that this one thing is a problem, and all we need is a magic bullet to take care of this one thing. And listen, this isn't blame or guilt, or I understand we all want simple solutions to problems, and when you don't feel good, you want to just tell me the one thing I need to do, and I will do it, and then I will feel better, and I can get back to my life. And as Nicole's going to talk about here as we go along in the show, that's just so often not the case of what we see. Right. So much of what we have to do is really dig into people's cases, and it takes the other piece is it takes time. So we're going to speak to a lot of this requires the opposite of the mentality that we have in our culture of instant gratification, fast results, and wanting to put least effort into it. All totally understandable, but unfortunately for many people, just not where it's at. And a piece of the show is just to give hope too. So a lot of people are when their situations are complex and chronic, and the conventional community has tried fairly simplistic answers, antidepressants or antiviral drugs or, steroids or blah, 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 and any one treatment to try and treat things, are often pushed off to the side. They're told, well, you can have an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety drug and kind of go away because we don't know what to do with you, or it's all in your head, you're just making it up. And so a lot of people are sort of resign themselves to the situation. And hopefully if people don't get anything else out of this show, they'll know that there are solutions, but they're not always easy.
Well, I think also as we're the older we get, I think the longer it takes to bring ourselves back into a place of health, because we've been, had certain lifestyle choices and eating a certain way and whatnot, and all of that is cumulative. And so it takes a while to kind of get to that unhealthy state. It's unrealistic to think that you're just going to be, instant perfect health in like 2 months. I think it takes adults longer.
Absolutely, but you can't help hoping.
Absolutely, yeah. But I think children bounce back a lot faster.
Yeah.
Well, sure. I mean, we kind of consider that a person's vitality. Mm-hmm. It's not really a scientific term that we can point to, but you just look at kids ideally, and they're incredibly vital. They run around, they have a lot of energy, that, they're dead tired, they sleep, they get up, and they're just like, they can run around. They get sick, and they're running around with like 104-degree fevers, and they're still very, they mount this very aggressive immune response. It's very appropriate. They get very sick, very snotty, and then they're done and they're well. At least that's how it's supposed to work. Unfortunately, we're seeing so many kids today who are sick and don't respond that way. But then as adults, generally we kind of see that level of vitality decline. And unfortunately in our society, not eating well, not sleeping well, lots of stress, lots of other toxic, stressful factors in life, and we just see that vitality decline. And that's a big piece about, I think, why we're facing these chronic diseases now. People pick up viral infections that their immune system should kick out and not be a problem, but they become collectors. They just, every virus they sort of bump into, they just sort of add it on, and they have these like simmering chronic viral infections as one piece. Now, some people want to put all chronic diseases only viral infections. And, something that's big for me is I don't think there's one answer. It's not just vitamin D deficiency. It's not just chronic, chronic viral infections. It's not just autoimmunity. It's not just immune dysfunction, endocrine dysfunction, dysbiosis. It's none of these things, but it's also all of these things and different factors. And that's what makes treatment, so individualized, and it means that it takes time. Because we're like maze, I think of it like a maze, like one of those hedge mazes where you're inside the maze and you can't, you want to get out, but you can't see where it is, and you go down one path, and sometimes that's great, and sometimes you hit a dead end and you have to back up and try again, and it's not always really straightforward. A patient I saw not too long ago got mad at me because she said, "I want you to give me a straightforward, precise answer to my question," and I was like, I feel for you, but it doesn't exist.
Right.
One thing that MDs do sometimes that I think is a disservice is sometimes there are straightforward and precise answers, and when there are, we should give them to patients. But a lot of times, at least in my line of work, there aren't straightforward and precise answers. Mm-hmm. And so I understand people don't want to hear that. They come in and it's like, well, we're going to do some investigation, we're going to see what we find, and then we're going to go from there. And, we may go down a pathway that looks promising, and it may turn out not to work out, so we have to back up. And I know it's frustrating, and it's time, and it's effort. And if I had a magic wand or a magic pill that I could give to people, I darn well would. Because, I would love to heal the world with the stroke of my hand, but that just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think treatment really is very multi-layered. It really requires a lot of factors to come into play. You are listening to eShell Wisdom Radio, Shauna Home on the I'm Thankful Network with my guest, Dr. Gerstmar, and we're talking about chronic illness. We'll be right back. If you're thinking of doing a cleanse to restore health to your digestive system and bring your body back to balance, you need to check out European Rejuvenation Center in Factoria. European Rejuvenation Center is the place to go for colon hydrotherapy, endermology, and Swedish massage. They offer the Libby system for colon hydrotherapy, which is more effective than regular colonics for removing unwanted waste from the gut and assisting your body to return itself to a state of balance. Endermology originated in France and works directly to help remove cellulite. In addition, it stimulates lymphatic flow, helping the body to remove toxins. Swedish massage promotes relaxation and well-being. Owner Selena Lewandowski is knowledgeable and compassionate. Selena will assist you in your goals to bring your body back to balance. Mention this ad and receive $20 off your first appointment. Call 206-271-0041 or check out their website, EuropeanRejuvenationCenter.com.
Past life specialist and founder of Metaphysical Mothering, Robin Alexis is nurturing, powerful, and phenomenally gifted. Her books and personal one-on-one phone sessions can change your life forever. And now she's created and channeled the Robin Alexis Online Soul Spa. She invites you to her website, RobinAlexis.com, for details on how to get 1 month's trial membership for only $1. Share your comments and experiences on her members-only forum with a very special group of metaphysical people, and she will answer your questions in the form of audio recordings right from her website, RobinAlexis.com. Robin uses her ability as a medium, medical intuitive, and healer to assist you in removing blockages so you can experience life more fully. As a member, you can call her for private sessions at a special rate. The phone number is 360-457-2993. Or you could email her at robin@robinalexis.com.
Courtroom dramas make for great television. But in real life, the participants are not actors, and storylines are not wrapped up in just an hour. If you or someone you know is going through any type of family or relationship transition, don't rely on the courts. There is a better way, a way that leaves your dignity and integrity intact. Discover the benefits of collaborative law. Billy Grissom, collaborative attorney, has years of experience helping clients find their own voice. She invites you to discover the abundant goodwill and personal empowerment that comes from the collaborative process. You decide the outcome. You decide what's important. You decide how to best protect your children. You decide what will be your new future. Visit BillyGrissomLaw.com. That's BILLIE GrissomLaw.com. Find healing, self-growth, and your future at BillyGrissomLaw.com. You and your family are worth it. See BillyGrissomLaw.com today.
Hey everyone, welcome back to eShell Wisdom Radio with Shauna Home on the I'm Thankful Network. We are talking about chronic disease today with Dr. Tim Gerstmar and our guest Nicole, who is going to talk a little bit about her experience, because she's, just like we were saying, she's dealing with a number of factors that have been affecting her health over the years. So it's not like any one thing, and it's been a very frustrating road for her, and yet she's really bringing herself into a place of balance, and also working with Dr. Gerstmar. So Nicole, let's just talk about, just kind of start from the beginning and how this all began and when you started getting sick and what that was like for you.
Yeah, first, thanks for having me here.
Yeah.
It's always good to talk with you. So my story is pretty much that I had been going through a period where I was getting sick fairly often, but we're talking about colds and various infections and this normal sort of thing. And I had always been kind of prone to sinus infections and just thought it was normal to get a lot of colds every year that kind of lasted a while. And didn't really think anything about how my lifestyle was impacting my health, because I was very active. I liked to hike, I liked to exercise, I was out all the time, I was on the go all the time, and I was really happy with that. But after I had my daughter, I started, the infections were lasting longer, and I was getting sick more often, and I was just getting more and more tired, and I didn't know what was going on. And finally, one year, about 2004, I was so ill so often, I figured there must be something else going on, because I was so tired. I remembered I would drive to get the mail, and that was crazy because I used to be able to, go for long hikes. I had been hiking every weekend, but suddenly I was just not able to get the mail. I remember I couldn't return. When I went grocery shopping, I was so tired by the end of grocery shopping, I didn't even want to return the cart. I mean, I don't mean because I was lazy. I mean, I was out of breath.
No,
I was tired.
I think there are a number of people out there who can relate to what you're saying.
Who can relate, yeah. Mm-hmm. This was a big deal, and I didn't quite know what was going on. And I went to see my doctor, and I was seeing her pretty regularly because she was giving me antibiotics fairly regularly. And we did some blood tests, and nothing showed up. It showed my immune system was working kind of hard, but we didn't, nothing showed up. And I was looking a little bit, I was just tired. But finally, my doctor, fortunately, she suggested, she's like, maybe you should go see a naturopath. She was of Asian descent, and she said, I kind of think of things differently because I'm Asian, and I think you should look a little beyond Western medicine. And this is a Western medicine doctor telling me this.
Very good.
And at the time, I'd never considered it. I thought it was a little crazy, but I was like, okay, I respected my doctor, went to go see a naturopath for the first time, and she set me down, and she said, I think you have some food allergies, and had me do and I thought, that's horrible. I mean, the whole concept of having to take foods out of my diet. But I thought, oh, here's my magic pill. I'll find out if I have allergies, and then I'll get better. And I had to do a food elimination diet, and I found all these allergies, and I was depressed, and I was excited because I might have a solution, but it was a lot of work. And so I had to make all these lifestyle changes, and it was miserable, and I didn't get much better. And I did all this, and it was a long thing. And I really did have the food allergies. I still have most of them right now, in fact. But it started me on the path towards trying to look at all the other things that might be contributing to keeping me unhealthy. And I started for the first time to see a connection, because once I had removed the foods that I was allergic to, when I ate them again, whether by accident or on purpose, I would become sick.
So what were some of those foods, Nicole?
Oh, it's everything under the sun. It turns out that you guys know this story, but the antibiotics had, my gut was very leaky, and I had gotten a lot of food into my system and developed allergies to a lot of the stuff I was eating. So milk, wheat, tomatoes, potatoes, stuff that's very common. It's hard to eat out. It's hard to eat food that other people have prepared because these are very common foods. Corn and soy also.
Okay.
So just about all the 5 major food groups as people think of it. But I would learn that if I had one of those foods, I'd get a headache. I'd have a very clear reaction. I got very sinusy. It was my clue that my sinus infections they were caused by bugs, but they were also being caused by an immune response to the food I was eating, which was just eye-opening. So I guess But the interesting thing is around that time that I was doing this food allergy stuff, my health was still declining because there was a lot more going on, and I didn't know what was happening. And around that time, not only did I become I had chronic fatigue, I got a diagnosis for chronic fatigue, but I also developed chemical sensitivity to the point where I couldn't be around people because when I was around people, I could smell their laundry detergent, any hair scent, just their products. You didn't have to wear perfume. All the things that we put on our body are scented, and it was making me sick. I ended up not getting a leave of absence from work for a couple months because I was couch bound. I was so ill. Finally got something worked out, so I worked from home. I worked from home for 4 years, actually, after this. For the first year of this, I couldn't leave my house. I couldn't go to stores. I couldn't ride in the car because I could smell the exhaust. I could smell if someone was smoking a cigarette. I was very, very sick. No one could visit me because they couldn't come into my house. I could smell their laundry detergent. And it made me ill. This was a low point. I can't believe my wonderful husband stuck by me through all this. He was such a supporter. But I was very depressed. I thought that was the end of my life, to be that sick. And I really didn't have any answers. I didn't know anyone who had this. I'd heard of it, but I had thought chemical sensitivity was all in people's heads. They're kind of saying that it was psychological rather than physical. Sure. I didn't know where to go, what to do. And the naturopath that I'd seen didn't really have answers for chemical sensitivity in a way that seemed meaningful, let alone a magic bullet. So that's when I got more involved in trying to understand what was going on. I knew about the food connection, but I didn't know what to do about the chemical sensitivity, and I didn't know how to reverse it. Over time, I came to realize from talking to people, from what I could find on the internet, that it was related to an overload of toxicity in the body, and that detoxing maybe would be able to help it. I was still looking for drug cures and sending email to people that had written about it, but it wasn't a drug cure that solved it. It was the slow, long process of doing sauna detoxes and doing, homemade raw vegetable sauerkrauts and stuff like that, and doing many of the things that you hear about, but not just one of them.
No,
Absolutely. It was a huge lifestyle change. It was slow. I got headaches. I had regressions. I was depressed. I was happy. It's a long story.
I think people also need to understand that we're being bombarded by toxins in this culture. Like you said, they're in the laundry detergent, which is why I don't use...
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It took me years to clean up our house so that to get all the chemicals out.
Yeah, we have no toxic chemical cleaners in our house, and there's no reason for it. I mean, you'd be amazed what baking soda will do. But in any case, it's not just that. I mean, it's the EMF waves and from the cell phone. I mean, it's everywhere. It's amazing we're still standing. But you do see people like yourself who are getting really sick and in ways that doctors can't pinpoint. And there's no magic bullet. And then it's so terribly frustrating for someone like yourself who knows you're not well.
Yeah. And I guess I didn't emphasize this, but there were supplements that did help. But they were supportive supplements, the type of stuff that Gerstmar works with. And But no magic bullets, no drugs yet. So you have to be involved in the cure. You have to be willing to make lifestyle changes because we're being bombarded. You have to get involved. And then some supplements can help speed it up or target certain areas.
But this is really, I think, about taking personal responsibility for your health, taking ownership for your health. And I think in this culture, there are a number of people who still want to kind of give their power over and have someone else do it for them. And you are such a good example, Nicole, an amazing example of someone who really you've had no choice, but you've really taken your power back and said, all right, I'm going to really work through this and I'm willing to do what it takes. And it hasn't been like instant perfect.
No, it's been a lot of work. I realized kind of early on that I had a choice that I could ignore this, the illness or the fact that I had some control over it, however hard it was. But I realized that I was just going to slip into chronic illness until it became disease and death because my body, I was so sick. I was moving in that direction. I could feel it, but I didn't want that to happen. I had a daughter. I wanted to travel still. There are things I wanted to do in my life. And even though it meant working so hard and giving up, a lot of foods and giving up, wearing perfume or makeup, I couldn't wear makeup for the longest time. I felt like it was worth it because I felt like I had more to do in my life and I just wasn't ready. So it was hard. But
so some of the layers you've done, so you've knocked out all chemical cleansers, like all that stuff in your house, right? So household-wise.
Yeah.
So super simple laundry detergent.
I
and
use baking soda.
Baking soda.
We don't even use anything besides baking soda.
Right.
Sometimes we use some borax.
It's a great, if you go on the Google, just Google how uses for baking soda.
Yeah.
I know there's a couple of really good books on that. Baking soda is amazing.
We use about a half a cup per load. That's what we've been using for years.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. What else? We used, was it Dr. Bronner's soap? It's pretty much the only soap we use it for in the kitchen, in the bathroom, everything, because they have some unscented, or the peppermint I can handle that.
Right.
I can't even think. We use very little vinegar and baking soda in the house. That's pretty much it. And I had to go out and find products for, underarm deodorant and everything you can think of, lotion. I had to find stuff that was non-toxic in various ways and unscented. But we've done that. We've restocked everything. And I make a lot of stuff myself, in fact, because I can't always find a product that I'm comfortable with.
So that's one layer.
That's one layer.
And then the food layer is a lot of fermented cultured foods, right?
Yeah, fermented cultured foods. I get pastured animals. I was telling you earlier, I have liver right now defrosting. We're going to have some fresh pastured liver because that I find to really revitalize my energy.
Right, and that's not liver from the regular grocery store.
No.
Let's get that straight.
Yeah.
You don't want anything from the CAFO animals. This is liver from local farm.
Yeah, I buy it from a local farmer.
Yeah, pastured animals. And the cultured foods are super healing because they heal the gut. They replace necessary vital microflora that so many people are missing in their gut.
Right. So I've taken out all the processed foods and I've replaced it with the cultured foods, a lot of vegetables, plenty of fat from animals that I buy locally that are raised on pasture.
Right, the good fats.
Good fats,
So,
exactly. Yeah. And I also, I eat whatever plant fats I can eat too, avocados. I eat shrimp.
Coconut oil.
Yeah. I basically eat real food.
Yeah. Well,
which I didn't used to. I mean, I lived on snack food. I ate tiny meals and ate junk in between because that's what I grew up on.
Well, that's what most people are doing, and it's doing them a grave disservice. We are going to come right back to this. You're listening to Eashell Wisdom Radio with Shauna Home on the I'm Thankful Network. We're talking about chronic illness and how to deal with it. See you in a bit. Dr. Tim Gerstmar, ND, of Aspire Natural Health in downtown Redmond, is not your average naturopathic doctor. Dr. Gerstmar provides his patients with competent and compassionate health care, which emphasizes disease prevention and high-level wellness. Restoration of health and balance is the goal in Dr. Gerstmar's practice. Patients receive a level of personal attention at each appointment that is unheard of in today's medical practices. Initial appointments run for 90 minutes, enabling Dr. Gerstmar to treat the whole patient, body, mind, and spirit. Schooled in the knowledge of real food and its healing effects on the body, Dr. Gerstmar endeavors to discover the cause of what's ailing his patients and correct the imbalance, incorporating healing foods, in addition to blending traditional healing techniques along with the latest diagnostics and treatments of modern medicine. Check out his website, aspirenaturalhealth.com, or call for an appointment at 425-202-7849.
The I'm Thankful Network, radio for inspiration, education, and collaboration. Show host and creator Sue Lundquist has the endless energy, compassion, and charisma to carry her mission. This mission of positive change and communication, while also creating a maintenance tool within a safe environment, providing a resource of knowledge through dynamic professionals in their respective fields. Join Debbie Whitlock and her show Femme Finance, Fridays from 9 to 10 a.m., streaming live at imthankful.com.
The Gary Mance Show, it's the home of mastery and mystery.
Sunday nights at 7 Pacific, we invite you to practice the art of constructive living with the help of experts in fields of personal transformation.
We also love to explore enduring mysteries in the realm of the paranormal.
It's something daring, something different after dusk every time with the A team of Alternative Talk.
Lighting the dark corners of your mind, it's a show like no other.
Mastery and mystery rules on the Gary Mance Show. Join us, won't you?
Oh, wow.
Did you know that Tuesdays are for you, our community, the entrepreneur? Well, imagine being able to tap into just about everything a larger full-staff company would have. Now you will be able to find it all here on Tuesday's Toolbox on the I'm Thankful Network. Tuesday's Toolbox is for anyone who aspires to get their business into high gear And if so, you'll want to listen. Those individuals or trade professionals who want to showcase their talents, well, they'll want to be on Tuesday's Toolbox Show. We are surrounded by entrepreneurs, and we need a place that we can go to maintain our education regarding business, marketing, promotions, branding, reinventing, just to name a few. Do you want a partnership with a radio show with proven positive platform and business-educated listeners? Do you wish to create and maintain knowledge for a vast key audience while also building your business base? Join millions of listeners nationally and internationally to propel your business. And your answer is in the Tuesday's Toolbox. Only 8 spots available, so call now. Contact Sue Lundquist at 206-300-2227.
I haven't heard that song in so long. You're listening to eShell Wisdom Radio with Shauna Holm on the I'm Thankful Network. We are talking about chronic illness and stuff that you can't quite put your finger on, but a lot of people are sick and having a great deal of difficulty trying to manage that. And so we're talking with my friend Nicole, who has been working with Dr. Gerstmar, really in partnership with him, which is so wonderful. It's very symbiotic. And so Nicole was just discussing just her whole kind of journey with this various illnesses, and we haven't even touched on parasites, which we will in a sec, because she had to deal with that as well. But want to say that she's really in beautiful health now as she sits next to me. So you need to know that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Definitely.
You know, it's still a process, but she is not that debilitated, sick person that she used to be. But again, this is someone who has really taken ownership of their health. And this is so important. We have to do this. We have to really be our own advocate and take responsibility for our health, because giving our power away and you fix it, you do it, is not going to work. And especially now when we are seeing so many more complex types of illnesses and super resistant bacteria. There's all sorts of stuff going on. So we've really got to be sharp. And yeah. So, well, Nicole, so let's just talk a little bit about the parasite thing, because that's another issue.
Sure. So at one point when I was doing the research and doing all the detox, I think I'd gone into a doctor who was checking on my gut health, and one of the things they check for is whether you have parasites. And of course, I came back and I had significant dysbiosis, and I had a candida yeast overgrowth from all of the sugar I'd been eating. And I also back then they found, I think, an amoeba called E. histolytica, which is a single-celled amoeba, but a parasite, which had overgrown in my body and was, causing some of my symptoms. And I remember back when that happened, I was sort of ecstatic, because I thought, yay, give me a drug, give me a drug to kill this, and it's all going to be over. I'm going to be healthy again. I wrote a blog and posted about it. I was so happy to have this parasite, which seemed fairly easy to kill. And so, I got treated, and there was an improvement. There were changes in my digestion, but I wasn't better. I wasn't instantly better. It was definitely an important step. I got a little bit of my energy back, but I still had my food allergies. I still had my chemical sensitivity. And so I came to realize that it was not what happened within a month or 2 months, but I had to look back once a year and say, am I better? Am I healthier? And I would, each year I've looked and said, well, can I do, I have certain goals that I've set for myself. There's some traveling I've mentioned that I want to do. I'm like, I'm not ready for that yet. But what can I do that I can't do last year? And each time it was like, I can drive my car again, or I can go to these stores. And in fact, one of the recent things that I did about a year ago now, but it was a big deal, I went back to the mall. I could walk through the mall without getting sick. That was great. That was huge. So it's been slow, and I kept hoping that each thing would be the magic bullet, and it wasn't. But each time I learned something new. And actually, it's turned out, I should mention back on parasites, that I've had 2 or 3 different ones that they've found, and I've been treated like 3 different times for different parasites. And each time we've gotten a bit closer. In fact, I think the last time I was treated with Dr. Gerstmar, in fact, about a year ago, I think that's the end of it, because at least parasite-wise, the symptoms that I had that were associated are gone. And the nice thing is, this bug that I had, when I looked on the internet, there was a lot about how you can't kill it, it keeps coming back, it's impossible. But one thing I loved about Dr. Gerstmar is he said, it's your body's ability. It's not the bug that's the super bug. You're stronger, you can keep this bug away.
Right.
We're going to knock it out, but then you'll have the ability. And it gave me a lot of encouragement. Rather than hearing all this sad stories on the internet, the people that had it keep coming back. And looking back on it now, I can realize that if you're discouraged or if you're only taking a drug and not doing anything else to help your body handle what's going on, you're going to slip back into illness.
Sure. Yeah, because you're not correcting the actual behavior that kind of led you there.
Right.
So Dr. Gerstmar, so how long have you guys been working together now?
I can't remember exactly.
A couple years or
a year and a half?
Year and a half, something like that,
something
right.
like that.
And, I just want to emphasize, not everyone has to have the extensive journey that Nicole has had.
Right.
Some people do, and that's their journey, and it's really tough. And, understanding, we brought her on today so people could hear her story, and they could, if they're going through something similar, know that they're not alone. Know that the doom and gloom prognoses, like you'll never get better, you're doomed to this forever, and are just not true. Nicole has improved tremendously since her low period, and even in the past, 18 months since we've been seeing each other, quite a lot. She still has a journey to go, but we expect that most, if not all, of her food allergies will one day be gone. Yeah. She'll be able to lead basically a normal life again. Can we make a promise? No. But that's the goal we're shooting for, and I think we can get darn close to that goal. But, it's a lot of work on her part. It's a lot of commitment to the process. It's discouragements and setbacks. If this was, she's seen a lot of doctors, a lot of people I've seen, I'm the 15th doctor or whatever. If it was simple and straightforward, most of those doctors you've seen are diligent, they're smart, they're good at what they do. And if it was simple, they would have taken care of it. But so much of what we're seeing anymore is not, A equals disease name. It's A plus B plus C plus D plus E.
Right. There's so many factors.
Right. And if you just treat one of them, and that's a bit of Nicole's story, if you just treat parasites, because, you read on the internet that Hulda Clark and some of these other people are saying that parasites are the problem. And then maybe you get 10% better. Well, maybe it was that one of those factors affecting you, but not maybe there is no primary thing. I think a lot of what we're seeing, and the show isn't just about chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, multiple chemical sensitivity, and those diagnoses. It's for anyone who they know they're not well because they don't feel good and they have symptoms and they go to their MD, most of them, and their MD says, no, you're fine. And if you don't feel good inside, don't let anyone tell you that you are fine, because you are not. Because when you are fine, you feel good inside as well. So, I got a little sidetracked there for a second. I mean, a piece of that is, the testing that's done, and it's not all about testing, but often, people come to me from their MD and they bring their lab work, and it's so anemic. It's so, they do the most basic panels because that's what insurance will cover or is happy about doing, or the doctors just don't see the need to run more testing. And for those values to be off, you pretty much need to be in the hospital or really grossly sick with pathology for them to see an issue. For Shauna, those kind of the most basic blood work was all perfectly normal. So if all we'd run is that, we would have said, great, you're totally fine, go on with your life. But, when we run some more extensive panels like we've done with Nicole, like we did with Shauna, we turn up things and we go, listen, this may not be at the level of a full-blown disease or serious problem, but it's trending in that direction, and why don't we head it off?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a lot cheaper to take care of it now than it is to try to manage a disease.
Absolutely. And a piece of this is, it's unfortunate that, I think people with chronic fatigue, people with multiple chemical sensitivity, people with these issues are the canary in the coal mine of our society. So other people say, well, you know what? I eat all that stuff and I'm around all this stuff and, it doesn't bother me. And it's well, awesome. That's, no, really, I'm glad for you, but in the same way they would take canaries down in coal mines because the canary was much more sensitive to the gas that was in the coal mine, and it would affect them first before it affected people. I think that's what we're seeing in a lot of these sensitive people, that it's not just all about chemicals. Mm-hmm. It's not just all about it's about everything all combined. When we put our entire lifestyle together, lack of sleep, too much stress, not, poor diet, toxin exposure. And people say, what do you mean toxins? I mean pesticides. I mean heavy metals. I mean
personal products.
Right, everything. We've released 100,000, give or take 100,000 chemicals into our environment in the last 100 odd years. And we don't know much about many of those things. And when we do more studies like bisphenol A and some of these other things that have come out recently, we tend to find, right, that's not the most awesome thing. It's they're endocrine disruptors, or they're causing other problems that cause cancer in lab animals and possibly in people too. And so, but it's not one thing. So if you don't take anything away, it's setting aside the idea that you're going to find, all you have to do is look hard enough on the internet or jump from doctor to doctor to doctor until you find the Amazonian herb or the Tibetan exercise or the something that all you have to do is that one thing, right, and that will cure you. Because 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, it's not going to. There's generally a lot going on for people. And it requires a comprehensive treatment plan. And it's frustrating, and it can be expensive, and it takes time. And,
but it's rewarding.
Right.
It's the only way to truly get healthy.
Right.
To feel well.
Right. And it's tough, because people who are really sick are being called upon to be their own advocates.
Yeah.
And at a time when they're least able to be their own advocates, to say to people, I'm not crazy, I have these symptoms. Just because, the initial kind of testing has not shown a problem doesn't mean there isn't a problem. You have to stand up for yourself. And there are a lot of good doctors out there, and there are a lot of doctors who really aren't suited to do this kind of chronic disease care with people. And so it's finding one that works for you. And it's not always easy, but at least, we want to put it out there that it is possible. And there are doctors like myself and plenty of other good doctors who really can assist people in the process. But it requires you to be involved, and at a time when you least feel able to do so. So I know it's really challenging, but Nicole is just one example of someone who really took the bull by the horns and is, instead of sliding down and down now, is progressing up and up. And we want you've had a tough 8 years of your life.
Yes.
We want the next 10 years and 20 and beyond, to be much, much better, and they will be.
Oh, no doubt. And she looks gorgeous, and her skin is beautiful.
Thank you.
And she's great.
Yeah.
So you're listening to eShell Wisdom Radio with Shauna Home on the I'm Thankful Network. We've got Dr. Gerstmar talking about chronic illness. We will be right back.
From baby, and ooh, won't you take me there right away? Won't you, baby? Tenderoni, you've got to be. Spot my need, just sugar.
My family has had cats for years, and every so often, the inevitable happens, and one of them has an accident on the carpet. We all know how difficult it is to get rid of cat urine odors, but I have found the best product out there: Kids and Pets Stain and Odor Remover. Kids and Pets gets rid of urine odors permanently. It makes stains disappear, and it even works on the mattress if your child wets the bed. And what I love about Kids and Pets is that it's made entirely of enzymes, which means it's safe and non-toxic, no harmful chemicals, and it's a cruelty-free product. You can use Kids and Pets on carpets, fabric car seats, furniture, and your clothing. In fact, I was able to remove blue food coloring from a cotton blazer I thought I'd never wear again. Kids and Pets removed it easily. I am so glad I found this product because I am very careful about not bringing toxic chemical cleaners into my home. So try Kids and Pets for yourself. You will be thrilled. And look for them on Facebook. If you are ready to change your life in a truly profound way, then I invite you to meet Elisa Silling, founder of Awake in Joy. Elisa is a gifted healing practitioner here in the Seattle area. She is a life coach, hypnotherapist, and spiritual guide. Elisa can induct you into your highest potential, helping you to overcome personal limitations, fears, anxiety, and stress. Working with Elisa, you will align with your life's purpose. Clients have experienced greater clarity and a sense of personal empowerment that has helped them create abundance on every level. Awaken Joy offers personal healing sessions, classes, and retreats. Sessions may be in person or by phone. Are you ready for a personal transformation? Check out Elisa's website, www.awakenjoy.com. Dr. Tim Gerstmar, ND, of Aspire Natural Health in downtown Redmond, is not your average naturopathic doctor. Dr. Gerstmar provides his patients with competent and compassionate health care, which emphasizes disease prevention and high-level wellness. Restoration of health and balance is the goal in Dr. Gerstmar's practice. Patients receive a level of personal attention at each appointment that is unheard of in today's medical practices. Initial appointments run for 90 minutes, enabling Dr. Gerstmar to treat the whole patient, body, mind, and spirit. Schooled in the knowledge of real food and its healing effects on the body, Dr. Gerstmar endeavors to discover the cause of what's ailing his patients and correct the imbalance, incorporating healing foods in addition to blending traditional healing techniques along with the latest diagnostics and treatments of modern medicine. Check out his website, aspirenaturalhealth.com, or call for an appointment at 425-202-7849.
Let me take it to the max. I want to love you. Pretty young thing, you need some loving. Tender love and care, and I'll take it there.
Okay, that's another song I haven't heard in a long time,
What?
Benny. I know.
That was like a flashback for you or something.
It is. Oh, God. You're listening to East Shell Wisdom Radio with Sean Home on the I'm Thankful Network. We are talking about chronic illness today with Dr. Gerstmar and one of his patients, my friend Nicole, who just has so much information about this. And we were just talking about her story and what she went through with all of this and then some of the improvements. And so really, like where you're at today, we're saying is you're in a very...
I'm
really
normal.
healthy-
If anyone saw me on the street, I'm a healthy, energetic, normal person these days.
Well, I think that's so important for people out there to know because there's
It's a
so many
big
people
difference.
with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue
Yeah.
and the allergies to everything. And more people are discovering this. More and more because we're, like I said, we're just
I hear it
so
when
bombarded.
people at work that I talk to, I hear it so often. They describe, oh, I'm feeling this way, I'm a little tired. They think what they're describing is a short-term, temporary, not feeling well. And I recognize it as chronic illness in them or the beginning of it. And it's
Right.
interesting, the change in my perspective that I pretty much see most people around me, we're all around the age of 40. But, they've all got some disease that's in progress.
Sure, because all this stuff is cumulative. And actually, we were even talking last night when Dr. Gerstmar was speaking at my Weston Price meeting about how people just accept poor health as the norm. Like it's normal.
Right. We kind of call it the normalization of disease, and that, people will come and say, oh, I'm perfectly healthy. And you're like, great. And then you start questioning them. Oh, but I have migraines, and oh, but I'm constipated, and I get rashes, and I got joint pains, and on and on. But it's completely normal because, like Nicole says, you get anyone kind of, sometimes in your 30s, but especially you get a table of people in their 40s, and you start talking about health issues, and everyone is happy to volunteer all the stuff that's going on for them. And we sort of,
I think it starts as kids and in your 20s when you think it's normal to get just regular colds all the time and have it last. I don't get that anymore, and my family is nowhere near as sick. But it took 5 or 6 years of making changes to realize that the stuff we've always thought was normal is not normal, that our bodies are capable.
No, I always say like the elderly of 100 years ago could outwalk you and me. They were vital and sturdy and happy, and you just didn't see this level of illness. I think it was really infectious disease that got people in the old days. Am I right, Dr. Gerstmar? It wasn't...
Right. So, historically, infectious disease was one of our worst problems, and the acute kind of infectious disease, we're hearing about cholera in Haiti, and some of these things, and we look at all the plagues that used to sweep through societies and everything, and that was the big problem. And thankfully, thanks to modern medicine, we don't have those. In this country, we're basically not dealing with those acute infectious diseases. So shout out to conventional medicine. Now we're looking at all these chronic diseases, right, which possibly are due in part to some of what we've done to defeat acute disease. Yeah. So, Nicole, I just wanted to, to provide a ray of hope for people out there. Sure. Just really briefly, contrasting. So, 8 years ago, basically, right, you were couch-ridden, you were stuck in your house, you couldn't be around any kind of scent.
I remember I couldn't even let my parents visit. Nobody could visit. I remember it was exciting when the first of my friends followed my instructions for how to wash their clothes and take a shower and were able to visit without making me sick.
And I want to say that's like the isolation must have just been devastating. And that's when people get prescribed antidepressants for that.
And I felt like I was defending my sanity a lot of the time too, trying to say this is a physical thing. I'm not going crazy. But it was, there were times when I had to ask myself, am I going crazy? I wasn't, but I couldn't tell the difference because I was so sick. And whereas to the contrast now, I'm back at work, I drive a car, where before I'd come home in the evening, once I was even able to go out again, I'd still come home and have to lie on the couch. I was so tired, I had to go to bed early, I just didn't have any energy, I was just dragging. Now, I have energy until 9:30, and then I have to slow down so I can go to bed. But I'm up in the morning and I'm going, I have 3 children, I have 2 more kids since this. I've gotten healthy enough that I have 2 wonderful boys that I don't think would have been born if I hadn't gotten my health on the right path. So I can keep up with them now, which is amazing. I'm 40, got these little boys and a 12-year-old girl. They're wonderful, but I can do with that, and I'm out in life. I have friends. I can go out and have a drink with my friends. I'm getting my life back.
Yeah, that's amazing. And actually, the interesting, you said you're 40, so this started when you were 32, and that's another thing. We're seeing younger and younger people in this culture getting sick, which never used to be the case. And even like the type 2 diabetes, which used to be called adult onset diabetes, and now you're seeing, 5-year-olds with this. So
I should mention, by the way, I was pre-diabetic and had all sorts of blood sugar problems that I've also corrected. I'm doing the tail end of it, but I no longer have the hypoglycemia and the craziness. There are lots of things you can heal.
Yeah, you'd be amazed what you can heal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just to touch on the point you said, one of my mentors who started practicing medicine in the 1970s and still practices today says the difference between the 1970s and today is that the diseases are occurring 20 years younger than they used to in the 70s. So someone in their 50s who would get a disease, now that he's seeing those same diseases in 30-year-olds. So definitely, as a society, in terms of chronic disease, we've gotten a lot sicker, more sick, I suppose would be the right term there. Watching my grammar. But, so I hope that gives some hope to people out there who are suffering from these kind of issues, that you can get better. You're not crazy. It does take work, and you have to be an advocate, and I wish it were easier, and I wish it were faster, and I wish it were cheaper, and I wish all of those things. And I hope as we continue to practice, and I try and evolve my practice every day. Nicole has seen in the past 18 months, some of the stuff I used to do, not doing anymore. I'm always searching for what can do things better, faster, cheaper. But some of this stuff can't go better, faster, and cheaper. And she had laid a lot of the groundwork for her own recovery by making these changes in diet, making these changes in lifestyle, caring for herself, and doing all of these things. And there's no way around that. That's a piece of what being healthy entails.
I kind of feel like that's an important part of it, though, because when you do really take ownership of your health and you take responsibility for your health and you really do work it, you can achieve so much. And so then it's not only can you restore yourself to health, but I feel also it's like you come back into your authority. You come back into your wisdom. And that, I think, also is people are so disconnected because they just give their power over to the great God who is their doctor or their whatever their specialist is, and forget that they have this authority and this wisdom within.
We have a lot of influence over our own health.
Yes, we can tap into that, and we can get a tremendous amount of guidance in that way, and even then guiding us toward the type of professionals that we want to work with to restore ourselves to health.
Sure, and I'll say Nicole has been fantastic as a patient because she is so involved, and we can sit and we can talk together, and it's not, it's not a power authority where I'm telling her what to do. I sit in the big chair and she sits in the little chair, and it's really a coming together of minds. She's a really smart woman, done a lot of her own research, and it's comparing and working together. And that's really challenging for a lot of people who haven't grown up with that mindset of that's how it works. And some people come to me and they just want me to tell them what to do, and sometimes it's that easy, and it's just like, well, this is what you do. Mm-hmm. Other times with cases like Nicole's and some of these other chronic situations, it's not that straightforward, and so we have to work together. And so, I really urge people, find a health professional that you trust of whatever stripe or shade or letters they have after their name, and work together with them and know that there is the possibility that you will be well again.
Well, thank you, Dr. Gerstmar, and thank you, Nicole. Great show, you guys. Thanks, everyone, for listening. You're listening to eShell Wisdom Radio with Shauna Home on the I'm Thankful Network. Have a great day.
Thank you for tuning in to the I'm Thankful Radio Network. For more information about the show, hosts, and/or their guests, don't forget to log on to imthankful.com. That's imthankful.com.